Hey everybody, welcome to Camel City Chat. I'm John McPherson and I'm here with my guest, the president, the queen, Miss Winston-Salem, Stephanie Pace Brown, who you are the actual title is president of Visit Winston-Salem.
Yeah, thank you for the lofty title of Queen of Winston-Salem after being here just 1 year.
Yeah, well,
Great to be with you.
But no, I mean, you have done amazing things. And my first guest was Lou Baldwin, so I always kid around and say that, Lou's like, hey, you mentioned me in that podcast. And I'm like, I texted him this morning, I said, you're actually going to be mentioned. So Lou's on your board, and you got a bunch of cool board members. We'll talk about that, but we got to dive into you. And so where are you from, and how long have you been in Winston-Salem?
I grew up in Ohio.
Right.
And, went to school there.
Right.
There have been a lot of things in between. I'm sure we'll get into all of that. I've been in Winston-Salem for just over a year now.
Right. One of my best phone calls ever is, and it was not Lou that gave it to me. I can't remember who it was, but someone gave me your cell phone number, and I called you, and you're like, I'm sorry, could you tell me who this is again? And I said, okay, I know it's crazy. I know I have your cell phone number. I'm calling you because of this, and you guys have been freaking phenomenal. Oh. And we'll talk about that too. So we're friends for another reason. I went to Appalachian State, and in just a few days from now will be September 1st, and it will be the 17th anniversary of probably one of the favorite games of someone like you that attended the Ohio State University, and I was at the Appalachian-Michigan game. And I know that didn't bother you at all, right?
Michigan's a big rival.
Yeah, you didn't mind us beating them then.
Yeah.
No.
How many years ago was that?
17. Yeah. So, actually, you go to school. You're out of school. We're similar in age. And then, what gets you to Winston-Salem? Because you've been some cool places. I know everyone wants to hear about Beer City and some other places. So, what gets you to Winston?
Well, to go to the way back, I was the first person in my family that had the opportunity to go to college.
That's awesome.
And so I actually went to the only campus I'd ever visited, which was Mount Union College, 900 students. I felt like I was going so far away from home, 45 minutes away from my house.
Right.
And then went to graduate school at Ohio State, and I was managing a bookstore cafe in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
And one of our customers worked for Ohio Tourism,
right,
and asked me to apply for a job that was open. And I eventually became the director of research for Ohio Tourism, the first one they'd ever had.
Right.
I married the research director for Virginia Tourism. And so somebody had to move.
Right.
And so as we were planning for me to move to Virginia.
Because, Virginia is for lovers.
Exactly.
I mean, you can't do Ohio State.
Virginia,
yeah, no, you have to go Virginia. So, and now you're in a state that, we invented flight. I don't care what you say, Ohio. All right, go ahead.
Actually, when I was in Ohio, I was in that camp for North Carolina too.
Yeah, that's it. We won't tell anybody that.
No argument there.
Yep.
And so my fiance at the time was at a party, and somebody was asking what I did, and he said I was in research, and somebody from Colonial Williamsburg said, oh, we're getting ready to hire our first researcher.
Right.
And so I became the first director of customer research for Colonial Williamsburg, worked my way up and filled a vacancy and ran the advertising campaign there for a couple of years. And then his job took us to Northern Virginia. And I had the privilege of working for George Washington's Mount Vernon, the home of George Washington, and became the vice president of public affairs. Was asked to apply for a position with Visit Alexandria at the time, Alexandria Convention and Visitors Association. I was a board member, and I'm like, are you crazy? We're paying a search firm to ask me to apply for this job. But I really, that was kind of the beginning of like falling in love with this idea of doing work that benefits a whole community and the businesses there, and helping local businesses and organizations to thrive by bringing them more customers. And so I had been in that role for about 5 years, and some of you might remember Asheville's ad campaign, Asheville is Calling. Well, Asheville came calling.
Right.
and so we moved to Asheville, and I became the president and CEO of Explore Asheville.
Was it hard to convince him to move to Beer City?
Yeah, no, actually not. Actually, at this point is a second husband,
right.
And who'd worked on Capitol Hill for
right.
35 years. and loved it. But we loved being part of the community in Asheville. I had a lot of friends there. It was really exciting to play a role in helping that economy to grow
Right.
and to develop tourism there. And then COVID happened, and I took a position with a research company in Indianapolis, and I got to work with tourism brands from Hawaii to Hendersonville.
Wow.
And helped to develop and measure the effectiveness of their advertising, which was a great opportunity to really dive into campaigns for clients all around the country. We were in Indianapolis. I loved North Carolina. It's a place that feels home to me. The climate, the activities, the culture here is just so rich and comfortable and such a great place to live. And so I was thrilled to be asked to apply for the position here at
And
Visit
they were so
Winston-Salem.
excited to get you. And you have so many smiles in my life when you mention some of these places that I wish that we had met sooner than today. I mean, we've talked before, but for my 56th birthday this year, I went to Colonial Williamsburg for the first time. We bought a season pass, so we're going back up for
that's great.
Christmas. I'm a Mason, so the George Washington Masonic Memorial in
Yep.
Alexandria.
Yep, spent a lot of time there.
And I told you the other day we used to have a business in Asheville. And then the Scottish Rite Bells in Indianapolis. And so it's just so interesting to
Yeah.
me, all of these things that, are just smiles in my life. So,
Yeah.
and then now you're in the place that makes me smile the biggest.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into that. Now, I have a question for you, and the mayor asked not to answer this question. He begged off on this, so it's going to be hard for you
Is
to
that
do
an
this.
option? I didn't
Yeah,
know.
no. It's, I mean, we're real in depth here, but no, this one is a hard one for you. So, what's your favorite place to eat in Winston-Salem?
Oh, wow.
So
I kind of look
there's
at
so many
it-
great restaurants,
there's
right?
kind of
Yeah.
buckets of
Right.
like favorite places. So I'll give you my first favorite place.
Okay.
When I was interviewing, the search committee took me for dinner at the Spring House.
Love it.
Just such a beautiful representation of Southern hospitality and great food.
Right.
And I'll tell you what made it really special is my in-person interview was the day before my birthday.
Oh, wow.
And Jimmy Bennett was the chair of the search committee. And, during a break in the interview, he asked me what my favorite birthday cake was. And I said, oh, cherry pie.
Right.
And after dinner, they brought out a cherry pie that Jimmy had, stopped on his way there and purchased a cherry pie. It was just such a wonderful gesture. It told me a lot about the community and who these board members are.
Right.
And, and that's, those first impressions have only been exceeded as I've been here.
Yeah, because, and I don't think sometimes people realize this, but I mean, how many members of your board are there?
9.
Right. So it takes a majority of them to hire you, and you make one mad, and that's the person that just squeaky wheel and all that kind of stuff, and then so it's almost like the manager council form of government. It takes a majority to hire but one to fire. So you have to have relationships with every single one of them, and they each have different touches and needs and expectations. And are you focusing on, like, let's say the Shell oil because Mr. Bennett would be on here, something. So all those different things. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think what a lot of people don't realize is that Visit Winston-Salem, our technical name is the Forsyth County Tourism Development Authority.
Right.
And these board members are appointed by elected officials to administer the proceeds of the occupancy tax.
Right.
And so, it's really even kind of a higher level of volunteerism because we're governed by state law.
Right.
And public meetings. And, and I think board members walk into the room and they take those hats off for whatever their, particular interests are, and they're contributing their expertise for the benefit of everybody, for the fulfillment of our mission. And so one of the things that I really enjoy about this work is having access to people who are bringing experiences from their walk of life and their expertise and the community connections that they have. So, I really like that, kind of having that resource of these people who are so well known and respected in the community who are here to help us do our job.
Right. Yeah, it is. It's amazing to me, and as I've gotten to know a little bit more about it this year, with you guys helping us out on a little project, and everybody does great work. I mean, and I'm excited to delve into that. Another question I ask, because now you're getting into this stuff, because like, why visit Winston-Salem, and what are your favorite things to do, and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, on a personal level, what are your favorite things to do is one of the questions I always ask is, what do you like to do when you're not sitting here drinking Le Bleu water, eating a sugar cookie, or getting something out of the Artomatic? Yeah, those are all your plugs for today, right? But what do you like to do?
I think one of the things that, makes me a good fit for this kind of work is like, I love to do everything. One of my particular favorite pastimes personally is, taking my bike down the Greenway to Salem Lake, and it's so peaceful and so beautiful. But we have great cultural assets, so much to do, and I've got to plug our calendar,
right.
Visit Winston-Salem.com, because like the scope of things, if you want to go to a beautiful gallery opening or see live music or a poetry jam, all of those things happen here.
Right.
And so to me, it's not really about like one best thing. It's kind of the combination and the scope of things that are available here, from Art Crush to bookmarks, to House Hangs at Sika.
Right.
So to me, I think that we have, we're really blessed with a huge variety of things that we can do that enrich our lives.
Right. Checking the old timer here, making sure we're doing good. So, yeah, for those of you that watch regularly, Stabler's at college now, so I'm having to do this solo. It's not as easy as it was. Winston-Salem. You took the job, obviously, because you saw both positives and negatives of our community. And I know that you all have goals and different things like that. I mean, it's Friday, the 23rd, I guess it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know what I'm doing at 2 o'clock today. We got tickets, so my wife's going. I got to pick my daughter up at school at 3. We're going to go over and catch the end of the first session today, and then we'll get tonight and then tomorrow the Winston-Salem Open.
Yeah.
I have a great story that I have to tell you about that off camera, about the first Winston-Salem Open and my exposure to it. But it's just how freaking awesome is that? So I think, was that originally an Ohio tournament, I think, as well? So, I mean, it may have been. So we've gotten 2 great things from Ohio now. Yeah, but so.
And actually, another great connection that I have with the Open is Jeff Ryan, when he was with the U.S. Tennis Association, we worked on bringing Fed Cup to Asheville.
Right.
And, the Williams sisters played there, and, it's just so exciting, and Jeff was such a wonderful partner, and we were so thrilled. And then to come to Winston-Salem and know that Jeff is running this amazing tournament here was a nice connection to have. So.
Yeah, so we're excited about that. As we talk later on about getting into conventions and stuff like that, we're having a convention for NC Realtors, and we're going to claim responsibility for when we check out on the 31st. We're the reason why NASCAR came to Madhouse. I mean, I think we can claim that, don't you?
Okay.
Yeah.
You have
Okay.
to tell me more about that.
Yeah. No, but no. So I'm kidding. But how cool is that now that NASCAR is going to have an event at Bowman Gray in February 1st of next year? I mean, we've got all these great things going. What did you see as things when you took the job that you really wanted to focus on? And what I'm going to ask you to do is hold that thought.
Okay.
And that's our cliffhanger. We'll be right back with more Camel City Chat. Welcome back to Camel City Chat. I'm John McPherson, and I'm here with SPB, as I like to call her, which is not an official title, but I mean, it's just when you got,
You and my daughter call me.
I'm Johnny Mac sometimes, whatever. But so Stephanie Pace Brown with Visit Winston-Salem. And before the break, I'd given you kind of one of the things that is always an interest to me, because I've been in Winston since '77. So I know people are sick of hearing this, but I mean, I remember when you didn't go downtown after 3:30 on any day of the week because Reynolds let out and there was no one down here. So what were some areas of concern as you got into your job, or what were the things that you went, oh my gosh, I can make a difference here?
Well, when my first interest was
Right.
finding a place that I wanted to live.
Right.
You know, in a community that I wanted to be a part of and, you know, put down roots. And a big part of the appeal as I was visiting for the interview process, Lou Baldwin took me on a 4-hour tour of the community. And, you know, as we're driving around and hearing, you know, stories about how remarkable things have happened here, you know, really gave me the impression that people in this community band together to do improbable things for the benefit of everybody else.
So I haven't gotten
And
that
I
tour, and
love
I'll be
that.
calling him because
I know.
he gave me a great tour in Washington, D.C. of the Willard Intercontinental, and I take people back there and try to attempt his tour.
I mean, how can you resist?
He's awesome.
I know, and you know that he spent that much time with me, but you know, it really helped me to understand that Winston-Salem is a resilient place with momentum, and you know, so many good things are happening here. And I loved the altruistic aspect of, you know, people banding together to get something done because it needs to be done and because it makes it better. So, you know, that was really, I think, the main selling point. But I also wanted to be in a place where my experience could make a difference.
Right.
And, you know, I felt like tourism in Winston-Salem had a great foundation. But there were also opportunities, you know, to build on that foundation and reach broader audiences and to take tourism to the next level here.
See, when I talked to Amy when I got here, I said something to her about, you know, my goal is always to sell my city because I want people to walk away and go, I have to come back to Winston. And she said, John, you know, one of our biggest things is, and she goes, even for me personally, is oh my gosh, I didn't know that. I mean, we have so much stuff here that people just don't realize.
Well, our job is to fix that problem.
Right.
And so before you come, you realize all the great things there are to do here so that more people are compelled to come.
Right.
And, you know, and that is dollars in cash registers, audience for performers and artists. It's tax dollars, you know, that help to pay for services that we all want.
Right.
And so, you know, that's what, you know, kind of gets me excited every morning is the ability to, you know, do what we do and make a positive impact on the community.
Right.
Because, you know, we're sales and marketing people. We could be marketing anything. And, you know, I think it's a real privilege that what we're selling are life-enriching experiences and the beneficiaries are our neighbors.
Right, yeah. It's interesting to me, you know, of course, you guys are located down on Brookstown.
Yep.
I used to come here when I was a single guy way back in the day, would bring a date, you know, to Daryl's.
And now you can come and get brochures.
Correct, and I bring a bunch of people here to get brochures, you know, it's one of those things of where you come in and you know your staff is phenomenal. What are you looking to do? Things like that, and you don't just do Forsyth County either, which I like. I mean, you focus on Forsyth County, but you also, I mean, there's some wineries that are outside of Forsyth that you guys will bring into that, and but you know, are there buckets that we put different things into?
Yeah.
So I mean, we've got a historical bucket maybe of like, and
We call them pillars.
Okay, so what's our historical pillars that we need to know about in Winston-Salem?
Oh gosh, well, you know, I mean, I think that most people in Winston-Salem understand that Old Salem.
And I bet you a lot of people haven't been there.
I know, and you know, and I think that like, you know, people appreciate the quality of being able to walk down that historic street, but I just really encourage people to buy a ticket and help that historic street survive into the future.
Right.
And you know, and now there's some really great anchor experiences developing with Lot 63 is right there, and the Muddy Creek Cafe, and you know, the development in the Coca-Cola building is so exciting. And so, you know, I think that in the next few months, actually, you know, that as a destination. And the new, you know, the tavern reopening.
Yep.
You know, so I think, you know, Old Salem has been anchoring with really, you know, a remarkable experience. You know, I call it a snackable Colonial Williamsburg.
Right, and with East of Texas moving down there, you know, and having that great restaurant, and then you've got the stuff around the Gateway stuff. I mean, and of course you got Salem College. It's the first ladies' school in the whole United States.
Yeah, and they're thriving too. And so, you know, and then there are things that cross in, like, you know, Renolda fits into a few different categories, but I was there a couple of days ago, and the quality of Ronalda as a collection of American art
Right.
is extraordinary, but then also like the cultural understanding of how the Reynolds family and the development of Ronalda and connections to Wake Forest, fit into the success of our community. Sika, now I think, maybe not everybody knows that it's now the North Carolina Museum of Art, Winston-Salem.
Right.
And a huge influx of capital
Did not know that.
investment coming
I didn't
in.
know that. We were just
I
there
know.
recently.
Breaking news.
Yeah, we were just there. A gentleman that did photographs, I think, from New York, had an
Yes,
opening.
that was such a good exhibit.
It was a great exhibit, and he was there,
Yeah.
and I was taking pictures with people and stuff like that, and so we really enjoyed that.
And Lyrics by the Lake and
Right.
House Hangs. And so, the state has given our formerly beloved Sika, now North Carolina Museum of Art, $15 million
Right.
for capital improvements. And so you have to buy a ticket now. So I encourage everybody to just go ahead and get a membership.
Yeah, did not.
So
I
you
did
can
not
keep
know that.
going,
That's
so.
amazing. Okay, so cool.
So those are just a few of the things that are kind of in that cultural museum attraction bucket.
Right, and then the other thing is then you have the offshoots, like, Rosa Otero and the little chair museum at Salem College, and I did an episode with her. Or
And we can't leave
Mazda,
out, Kerner's Folly.
Kerner's Folly.
One of my
That
favorites,
place is
just
crazy.
delightful.
I'm just going to say that place is
But
crazy.
I know,
Yeah.
isn't it fun?
It's
and
interesting.
They have a new welcome center if you haven't been out there.
Haven't been. I've been by it recently, but
Mm-hmm.
I know they do a lot of stuff with like coffees and cars and stuff in that side parking lot, and then you go over there and tour it. I know my wife and I went. We haven't taken my daughter yet. I probably need to take her there.
You cannot have your Forsyth County tourism card until you've been to Kerner's Folly.
Okay. All right. so there you go. I mean,
So that's one pillar,
Right.
And that's a pillar that Visit Winston-Salem has been focused on for a long time. It's really an anchor. I think that we have a lot of opportunity to dial up our arts and culture part of our brand with the exciting things that are happening on Trade Street, and it's just so cool, and like the self-expression and the variety of different art experiences that you can have in the heart of downtown. So we're really kind of dialing up that part of the brand and how it fits into the mix. Right next to it, nightlife and entertainment with breweries and Ramcat and all of the places that are featuring live music and great things to do at night.
Right.
It's something that I think people will be happy to see take a higher profile in the marketing that we're doing. Outdoors,
right.
I think is really an untapped opportunity because it's beautiful here.
Oh yeah.
And our climate is a selling point. Our beautiful climate, we want people to get out and enjoy it.
And Bailey Park has been amazing.
Bailey Park, Salem Lake, Tanglewood,
Yeah.
the Quarry, these are all, in a lot of tourism destinations, we wouldn't focus very much on kind of municipal assets.
Right.
They're just so well done here.
Right.
I think that they are things that can enrich the visitor experience. Outdoor patios.
Right.
I think we can take that for granted if you've been in Winston-Salem for a long time, but if you grew up, in a place like I did in Ohio, or you're living in Indiana, or, places that don't have these really charming, beautiful outdoor spots to eat, I think that's part of the experience here too.
Plus, I think it's really cool because, if you got the dog, you can sit at the outdoor patio. And but there are a lot of places that have added those things. I'm friends with Adam Andrews. He's done some wonderful things with, the different restaurants that he has. And I know that what always impresses me are the people that make the moves and take the risks. Like what's the place that that's got the 3 levels and they got the golf simulator in it, and I'm blanking on it. Piedmont
Top
Federal's in
Golf?
there. No,
not
it's
here.
downtown. Why am I?
Oh.
Yes, there.
Yes.
But they've taken
Yeah.
the risk at Roar.
Roar,
And
yes.
thanks. She
Nor's
sent it to me
and Nor's
telepathically.
on
Did
Trade
you
right
see me
across
that?
the street.
I received it. All right. And so you sent me, so basically, what a risk that Roar was, and it seems to be successful.
Well, and look at Callidium and the public.
I haven't been there yet, the new one.
You have to go
Right.
to Callidium After Dark,
Okay.
which is playground for adults. And it's just so fun to see adults going down the slide and, swinging in the rope chairs and just playing,
Right.
and having fun.
I definitely want to do that. That may be something that we look at.
Give you a list.
Yeah, definitely. So, and that's the next segment we're going to talk about some tourism stuff, and when we get to that, then we'll talk about how to do all these things. But all right, so we've got bucket of history or pillar. We've got the next pillar was outdoors, culinary, okay,
arts, yeah. And then,
you got to get innovation in there somewhere.
the innovation is kind of more of a brand messaging.
Yeah.
And so, we're kind of developing around the brand personality of easygoing, resilient, and genuine. And we think that's what kind of ties everything together.
Don't you wish we had a mayor that was more involved in our community?
I know you're joking.
Yes. Love that guy. Call him, picks up the phone, and what's up, Johnny? It's like one of 3 people that call me that, and catch up with him. I mean, he is he's so dedicated to pushing Winston.
Yeah, and yes, we have a city council and a county commission who are dedicated to the quality of life for the people who live here. And you know what? That makes it a great fit for the quality of place for visitors to come. And the more visitors that come, the more vitality we have, and that benefit the people who live here for more and better things to do and vibrancy of businesses.
It blows me away because we've got so many heroes or classical, just phenomenal people in our. You got Aunt May from Spider-Man lives in Winston-Salem. You got Dr. Gary Chapman lives in Winston-Salem. Maya Angelou lived here. We got, Texas Pete was founded here. We got, all these people that, you see on the street, they're your neighbor, but then they have achieved so much other places.
Yes.
And I'm sure I'm missing about 8,000 others, but we've got this untapped reservoir of history and things that help us. Just even now, I interviewed Michelle McCullough down at the train station. What a beautiful thing, And we've got that now. Our elected officials seem to be, sheriff, police, fire. Everybody seems to be all on the same page with you. How did you achieve this? Or how was it here before you got here, and how do you keep that going?
Yeah, no, I certainly don't take any credit for that. To me, it's part of what's so appealing about the community. It's well run. People are nice and community oriented and just willing to jump in and support. One of the most extraordinary things that I've experienced while I've been here is the International Black Theater Festival.
I was going to mention, thank you. That was one of the other 2 things I was going to mention, that and Dr. Atala. So, international, yeah.
Well, it's an extraordinary experience, but one of the things that made it such a departure from past experiences, I think people don't realize that there is a room full of people that meets regularly leading up to that event.
Oh, absolutely.
From, police and sanitation and marketing people and I think you could have a city staff meeting there.
Right.
And just the community support and appreciation for what a special experience that is, and then to sit at the gala, and they call it Marv-tastic for a reason, and I think you just can't understand it until you've been part of it. But it only is possible because this is a community that supported it, and it was important for it to be here and stay here and be successful and to keep the vision of the Hamlins alive and to honor and respect that legacy. I think the thing that connects all of these dots is that we're a place that believes that good things happen here.
Right.
And then helps to make them come true.
There's your quote. We're going to take a quick break, and I want to come back and talk about all the different festivals and conventions that come here, because there's a lot of things that I don't think people know about. You're going to have probably a better list than me. I've got a few, and we'll go through it together, all right?
Okay.
All right, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Camel City Chat. I'm John McPherson, and I'm here with the president of Visit Winston-Salem, Stephanie Pace Brown. And we've been talking about everything, and now we're going to tighten the screws, I guess, and ask you some really more in-depth questions. All right, so when, oh goodness gracious, I was going to take you back, way back. When I was younger, Neil Simon used to bring plays that he was getting ready to open up on Broadway and perform in the Stevens Center.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was our test place. It was really cool that this happened. I don't think a lot of people know Winston-Salem was the first arts council in the United States.
No, celebrating 75 years.
Yeah, we've got a lot of firsts here.
A lot.
And so, I mentioned Dr. A a second ago. I know that he does an innovation seminar here, like every other year or something like that. You mentioned the Black Theater Festival, which is huge. I gotta put a plug in for Tracy Myers and the WrestleCade that comes and stuff like that. But there's a fly fishing. I mean, we have all these different things that come with Pride Festival, Indian Festival, and what are some of those? And obviously, we're scratching the surface. What are some of those that come to mind that you and your staff kind of get a little bit excited about?
Oh, gosh, there's such a huge variety, and
Right.
we get excited about them all. But, in a typical year, we're booking 200 groups that are
Really?
meeting here. I think it's really what's surprising to people is like the scope of it, and the sum of the parts. And every once in a while, a group will ask me to come and welcome them.
Right.
And I love doing that because when groups meet, there is an association with absolutely everything. And and people come in, they pride in what they like. Your group.
Right.
These groups that come, bringing their own their culture and their goals and their the things that they believe in, and then we get to roll out the Winston-Salem welcome. So there's a huge variety. Just this summer, we hosted police association, city government elected officials with and the county commissioners. So there are three really big ones that were brought to our community by our county commission, our city council and city government, and our police force.
Right.
And so it's always, I think those always stand out as things that when they're hosted by locals,
Right.
And like your group that is meeting here because you're leading that board.
Right.
Those are things that are especially special because when a Winston-Salem resident is hosting their friends and colleagues from around the state or around the country, that's magical.
So you said the elected officials, so I can't remember what, it's the COG, Council of Government, you had that here?
We had the Association for city elected officials. And then later we had the county commissioners that were hosted by Forsyth County.
So we did that when I was on Louisville Town Council. We did that in Fayetteville, and they had just opened up the museum for the jumpers,
Yeah,
for the
and I gotta tell
parachutes.
you, the Benton,
Yep.
just rolled it out. I mean,
Okay.
it was so fun and creative and beautiful, and people were dancing. Dee Dee Adams was
Right.
running the dance floor. So.
That's awesome. And what's amazing to me is as we've started this dialogue, and so as you've mentioned, so NC Realtors is going to have their state convention. It's not state convention, but it's called Vision Quest, and speakers, and we also is about leadership, and then we also have the installation of the president. And so the president-elect decides where it's going to be, and there was no question. So I think this will be the third time it's been in Winston, May the 4th. But the last time we were here was when Treasurer Faircloth was president, and what I wanted to do was make sure that everyone comes to town and everyone leaves wanting to come back. So I called you. You, of course, had Karen reach out and get in touch with everything, and you guys, there's incentives, that you're able to say, hey, why don't you let us help you with this or that, which is so nice because, I think we're bringing that week between 300 and 600, I think 600 people over the entire week to the Sheridan, going over to Benton Convention Center. We're going to have an event at, we're going to have an event at the Millennium Center.
Oh, yeah.
So I need to get you the thing. You're going to have to sneak in on some of this stuff. On the Wednesday before the installation, we're actually going to have drinks, disco, and dessert.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, so yeah, that'll be a good one. And then the installation will be the
Does
next
this
night.
come with like attire, disco attire? You've got an outfit
Well,
already?
you'd have to. Well, I mean, I've always had an outfit, yeah, of course, but no. But I mean, we're going to have some fun with that. But you mentioned now it's like, do we want to do Caladium? Do we want to do that? That type of thing.
So
we're
many
going to.
choices.
So we're going to come up with some cool things because when it was here last time, they did the slide in the Kimpton.
Oh,
So that was,
fun.
it's always good to get adults on slides. But so then now to come out of that, what I want to do is say, hey, I've talked to Jason. And Jason's like, hey, why don't I give you a couple, gift cards for some restaurants or something like that? And I'm like, okay. And I want to be able to communicate, I'm going to communicate with him to communicate with the restaurants. You guys have a list too, and say, hey, these are some people. And then, I'm going to suggest restaurants to, there's 40 individual associations, and if they're represented, they may take some of their members out to dinner
Oh,
one night.
absolutely.
In January.
Yes.
Restaurants in
Yes.
Love
Yes.
when there's someone in town.
We love overnight
Yeah.
stays in January.
Right. And it's like Saturday to Thursday, till Friday morning, and so it's amazing all the stuff behind the scenes. It's like I want to have this person there, so you got to call and check and make sure they're available and stuff
But,
like that.
it's a relationship business,
Right.
And and it's kind of Team Winston-Salem,
Right.
and everybody's willing to, jump in and lend a hand and solve a problem because everybody has like the community pride of like you. When somebody comes to Winston-Salem, we want to make sure they're taken care of and
Right.
they have a good time and they come back.
Yeah, and I've asked the mayor to be there. Call Bobby up and say, hey, we need a color guard. You got one? He goes, of course I do. So different things like that. I want to expose everyone to our elected officials that, so they see what's going on and how great of a job you all are doing. But also, our industry is going through some stuff right now. I mean, with the lawsuit that, recently has been supposedly settled and different things like that. So it all comes back to the happiness of sharing my city with people.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's such an extraordinary experience when you're the host,
Right.
and you're welcoming people to, a place that you love and that you call home. And, I'm sure it's going to be really memorable and, fun few days. It'll just fly right by.
Yeah. So it's like I told my wife, I'm like, I'll be checking in on this day. You'll see me on this day.
Yeah.
Please come on these days if you can.
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
gas all the way.
Well, and in part thanks to your group, we're set up. Our fiscal year runs July through June,
Right.
And based on the strength of group tour bookings, we've had our best July in record.
Right.
And January is going to be the best January we've had, and then we're looking at April, which is going to be blockbuster. So, Winston-Salem's a city on the rise and a lot of momentum because of all of these partnerships and commitment that you've just talked about, where everybody just raises a hand.
And I'm going to say nice try on that because I also think that even in your 1 year here, that you and your staff have already started to change things.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
Well,
I appreciate that.
yeah, I mean, and I did say your staff because I know you can't do it without them. But I mean, yeah, there's been a change already in a year.
I think, one of the things that has been really fun is, to really, increase the amount of engagement that we have with tourism partners.
Right.
And, I'll just say
here.
this because I think people don't realize that, we don't have members. Everything that we do is funded through the proceeds of the occupancy tax. And so we connect with people and put listings on our website and events on our website and include people in our marketing. And that's all free. And so, we've been having a series of partner events. We had a summer social here in June. I think it was June, beginning of July 9th. And it's just, we can't do our jobs without the relationships of the tourism partners who are actually serving the visitor.
What do we need?
Oh, that's a great question. And to me, there's an inherent process of, when our marketing is effective at building awareness and reputation for the place. I saw this in Asheville. When I started in Asheville, we didn't have any outfitters. We didn't have any tour companies. And so we built a customer base. And the customer base kind of creates opportunities for other things to thrive.
Right.
And so, there'll be a natural evolution of that. But we also are in the process, we're starting phase 1 of a destination assessment that will lead into a destination planning process.
It'd be nice if we had somebody who did research on that, right?
Yeah, right. Somebody who knows about research. So our phase 1 will be kind of an assessment, a conversation with community leaders, in-depth interviews with board members and our team, an assessment of hotel inventory, a look at competing destinations, and what they're doing in Durham and Greensboro, and that'll lead into a really in-depth year-long assessment of what our strengths are and what our gaps are, because you could make an infinite list of things that people would like to have or think would be good for the community, and we can't achieve.
Everyone's list is different.
Every list is different, and I'm kind of a researcher by background,
right?
And tend to approach things through a process of prioritization. But we've got plenty. We've got plenty of experiences and assets to attract more visitors than are currently coming. Mm-hmm. So in the coming year, we'll be launching a new brand for our tourism marketing efforts here in just a few weeks.
Right.
And we've hired a new ad agency, and so we think that we're going to be more efficient, meaning we're going to reach more people with the money that we invest, and we're going to be more effective, meaning that our message will be more compelling. Right. And so, we see that as like one of the pieces of achieving the next level for tourism attraction here.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's amazing to me all the different things. I've heard different, like let's put the trolley back on 4th Street or 5th Street, whichever one it was on, because they covered those tracks up or whatever. Mm-hmm. We need a water feature in downtown, and so Greenville was always a one. Chattanooga's been one that I've heard. Who truly are the cities that we compete against?
I've had the realization that we compete for time and money, and I feel like we almost compete with like where you live,
right?
Because the first thing we're trying to do is to get you to leave home. And so, we always have what we call a comp set.
You got to leave Clemens and Louisville, come into Winston, right? Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I'm kidding.
We want you to leave Charlotte and Raleigh and Richmond and Roanoke and rural North Carolina to come to Winston-Salem. And so we have to offer something that's different from where you live.
Right.
Because the competitive universe of where could you go is infinite. So we look to places that we might think are kind of similar in their stage of tourism development. We might look to Durham,
okay.
Greenville, South Carolina, Greensboro, maybe getting a little further out, Roanoke. Mm-hmm. Richmond's obviously, kind of a bigger place than Winston-Salem is. But really what we're doing is we're competing with everything you can do with your time and everything you can do with your money.
Right.
And so, we just need to focus on what we offer and what's special about coming to this community. Mm-hmm. And so, I think that our marketing campaign will be more inclusive. I think more of our tourism partners will see the kind of thing that they provide being represented, in the work that we're doing. Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're going to take a break.
Okay.
The burner's going to get hot.
Oh, no.
I want your top 10 must-dos in Winston-Salem. It can be you have to go to the film festival. You have to go to the Shell station. Top 10 it can run.
I might pull a mare on
you.
I don't know.
No, all of the pillars. I want top 10.
Oh, gosh.
Okay?
That's not
I'm going
fair.
to give you a second to think.
That's not fair.
Well, we'll talk.
Okay.
I'll be nice, I promise. We're going to be right back with more Camel City Chat. Welcome back to Camel City Chat. I'm John McPherson, and I'm here with Stephanie Pace Brown. Stephanie is the president of Visit Winston-Salem. All I can say is I love this place, and I love the job you're doing. So what we were talking about, and you've been squirming since I've said this
top
now.
10,
Yeah.
I
yeah.
didn't choose
What
it.
are all right? So What's your favorite outdoor location? Instead of top 10, we'll do maybe 10 different criteria. So what's your favorite outdoor place in
I
Forsyth
can tell
County?
you 10 things I've done recently.
I'll take that better then.
So one of the things that I think is a hidden gem
Okay.
that I think more people should do
Okay.
is rent an electric bike from Triad Eco Adventure Tours.
Right.
And go wherever you want to, but my favorite ride is to go right across the street. They're down by the YW.
Okay.
And you can get on the Greenway there, and it's a beautiful ride, and you can go around the lake, or you could take the strollway and zip into downtown, but it's so fun
Okay.
to just be out on a bike. It's an electric bike. They teach you how to ride it, and so that's fun. That's always been one of my favorite things. When people come to visit, we do that.
So we got on the bike down near Cranky's and rode down to about Winston-Salem State and then came
Yeah.
back one night. It was
Yeah.
a date night one night. It was a great date
right.
night. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
it's-
but we just did our own bike.
Isn't
No,
it-
no, no.
yeah.
We did the bikes that are there that you put the credit card in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you want to hop, get some.
I'm gonna do the electric bike. I like the sounds of that.
Dude, the electric bike is super, and they do a great job of taking care of you. But they also offer stand-up paddle boards, trolley tours, Segway tours. So I think that not enough people in Winston-Salem know they're there, and it's always tons of fun.
And that's what's crazy is, there's ghost tours and different things like that.
Yes.
So now, I don't know if you knew this, with Caldwell Banker, we were on Stratford Road across from Thruway. We've now moved into 411 West 4th Street. So we're on the patio where the chamber used to be. That would be the #1 chamber in the United States of America. Yeah, I know.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And so we're out there, and the fire truck just went by the other day with the people
Yes.
drinking, and
Right,
doing the booze tours or whatever we call them. But
and the cycle bar's back. Our team does what we call FAM Fridays, Familiarization
Right.
Fridays, where they go out one Friday in July and one Friday in August and experience a lot of different things and then report back on it so we
Right.
can all learn about it.
Right.
And so some of our team members have done the ghost tour, the food tour, the history tour. We love the African American history tours.
Mm-hmm.
So I think all of those things help people it enriches their understanding of some of the history here. So I always recommend that.
all right, so the eco tour,
Yep.
get the bike,
Try
do
Eco
that.
Adventure tours.
All right.
Yep.
So what's your favorite outdoor activity?
Does
Park and
does
destination.
drinking wine at Jolo
Yeah.
count?
Okay, so Jolo counts. Yeah. I will say I love Tanglewood. We love Tanglewood.
Yes, and the lazy river. Yeah, we've done that recently.
Oh, at the pool?
Yep.
I have not done that.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh, are you kidding? It's
Yeah.
great. It's so fun.
All right.
It gets a little bit crowded, and it's kind of closed a lot of days
Right.
right now since school started. So in the kind of release your inner child category, we've mentioned Callidium After Dark before. Highly recommend that. Get your ticket in advance. Save $5.
Right.
So there's kind of a chunk of
Right.
stuff I've done recently. I've had people visiting the last couple of weeks, so.
Oh God, I could imagine visiting you.
Yeah, so
So what do you
I
want to
run-
do?
I
I'd
just-
rather just sit around and watch TV.
I just
that's
run them
it.
ragged,
Yeah.
and I always say we're going to eat a lot.
Right.
So my mother was here
Okay.
for her birthday, and
From Ohio?
she actually lives in Arizona now.
Okay,
But
all
my
right.
aunt came and joined her from Ohio.
All right.
And so we did a better part of a day at Old Salem.
Right.
So I'm going to, in the things people might not know, MESDA,
Yes.
which is part, the Museum of Early Southern Decorative Arts, extraordinary.
Amazing
museum.
place.
Yes, and and I bet not too many people who live here have been there recently.
And if you don't know where it is, it's the place right next to where you go take all those Christmas pictures on the bridge. It's that building. It's right there. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
So we took Laura. Laura's my 10-year-old daughter. We took her, I think, last year, and some of the ladies were quilting.
Yeah.
And so she got to pull the needle
Yes.
through in a couple of
Because
the demonstrations there.
They did an exhibit, a quilting exhibit in Raleigh last
Okay.
year. Old Salem hosted it, so
That's
that
cool.
might have been part of why they were doing that.
trying to
So then we
We
also.
haven't mentioned Grayland.
I know. I was going
Yeah.
to say when we got to favorite places to dine, I was
Right.
going to say the patio at Grayland.
Ooh, I haven't
mean,
done that.
Oh, that's just if you want to breathe in some Winston-Salem charm,
Right.
that's where you go.
Okay. I like the Zevely House. That's a cool place to go get a drink, which is
I
now
haven't done that.
what, Bernardin's.
Oh, Bernard, of
Yeah. So the
course,
patio
yes,
there.
yes, no, love
That's like
Bernard,
patio
yes.
central because you got Moselle's,
And
you got 4th
Moselle's,
Street
yes.
filling station.
Yep, and and Moselle's is opening a second location where the powder room was. It's going to be Little M, and so I'm
Where's
super
powder room? Is it
excited
close to
about-
it?
Yes, it's right around the corner near Snob Shop.
What's going in where the house is? So there was something. So when I drove by Moselle's the other day, it looked as though people were dining at the house right next to Moselle's.
That's Moselle's dining porch, and
Okay.
Farrell Blake opened XO Home
Okay.
on off the patio, and it's adorable, and he has really great like housewares, but also fresh flowers.
Right.
And he gets new fresh flowers every Wednesday, and
We're gonna cut this out. I don't want my
pop
wife
in
to
there.
see this. I don't.
And he sells like these extraordinary porcelain vases.
Right.
So that's an amazing place to pop in and get some flowers if you want to take somebody a special gift.
Okay. All right. Of course, now we've got to talk about where you are because you've got some pretty cool places right around you.
Yes.
One of my favorite restaurants, Meridian.
Yeah, Meridian.
Great place.
Yeah.
And then what? Then you've got is it Be Good across the street? You've got.
Be Good way more than we probably.
I can
should
read it right
be.
now. Camino. We got, and I'll pronounce it wrong. Delicios.
Yeah, Delicios.
And then you've got Saul and the Mexican place.
Yes, and now Salt and Sage.
Salt and Sage
which
down
is
where Willow's
really
was.
So terrific.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just crazy.
I mean, you're not going to go hungry.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
But you can walk there, which if you get to walk there, it's better.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got my electric bike in my office for a little further away.
Okay. All right. Cool. So you really got hooked on the electric bike thing.
It's interesting because if you haven't really ridden an electric bike around town,
Right.
you can go the same. Maybe you've driven your car there every day, but you
Right.
notice different things. I live up Bernolda Road, and
Right.
when I ride my bike, I'm like, there's cows.
Right.
I never noticed that.
How about
in
this
my
now?
car.
Here's one hidden one for you. How about the new trail at the children's home across from
Crossnor?
Airstream? Yeah, at Crossnor, right across from the Airstream. There's a trail that's there.
I've noticed people doing that.
It was a daughter and her father were passed away. They were killed in a car. I don't know, so don't correct me on this. But I think they were killed in a car accident. There's something that says that, and so they dedicated that to them.
Yeah.
And so it's this beautiful trail that takes you down behind the ropes course at Crossnor and everything.
Oh, I'll
Yeah,
have to
a
do
great.
that.
Yeah, so it's a walking trail. But yeah, no. So the electric bike, and but you just don't
We
see
would
things.
be totally remiss if we didn't throw in it's the beginning of football season, right?
We have
And
sports in
so,
Winston-Salem.
I don't know,
Yeah.
but that certainly is something that everybody should dive in there and get their resident tickets.
So besides the Fighting Pickles, so we have Winston-Salem State, we've got Wake Forest, and then of course we've got the Dasher playing right now,
Yeah.
and then you've got some of the stuff that the Thunderbirds and was it the Disco Chickens and some of this.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's just you can't really do it all, but you
Right.
should do some of it.
right. Salem's got sports. I mean, it's a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, don't tell us you're bored.
Well, so this is the first year I've done this. I went on the RSS feed for Appalachian, and if I showed you my phone, I have every Appalachian sporting event, and of course, fortunately, I'm able to delete them on I forward all my calendars to one calendar, so I'm allowed. You can't if you have the RSS feed coming into your main calendar, you can't delete them because that's theirs. But so I can delete them. But I mean, it's I want to take my, I'm a girl dad. I want to take my daughter to women's sports. I want her to have positive female role models. And so it's hey, field hockey game at Wake Forest. It's Appalachian playing there. So why don't, that was this week. We weren't able to do it because we were still up in the mountains. But, we're going to start doing some of those things.
Have you been to Art Crush?
All right, so I was going to ask you, there's something that happens because one of my clients' daughters did this. In a parking lot downtown, is that Art Crush? What is Art Crush?
Art Crush is the third Friday of every month.
This was what it was.
It's a
Okay.
celebration of art. It's a Trade Street takeover.
Right.
And so there's usually a live music performance. It's curated by a different local artist every time, and so it's kind of just a great street fair celebration, and community organizations set up booths, and artists have booths in the street, and the galleries and shops are open late, and there's always entertainment, and it's just so much fun.
I think that they were on top of one of the parking decks, and we're having during Art Crush, that parking deck that's down there. They were doing something there because they were telling me about it.
Oh,
Amazing.
yeah.
I still haven't found the tunnel that's near the red things. That there's an artistic tunnel that they've done, like they do.
In the Benton?
Is that no? There's one that you can walk through, and they do different types of stuff. But I've been the one in the Benton.
That is a challenge.
Yeah, but I think it's down there somewhere, and there's an artistic thing and different stuff. Now, I mean, we have so many talented artists. You know, I mean, it's just amazing. And then, you know, the pillar that you're not mentioning is alcohol. And so, I mean, we have breweries, we have distilleries, we have wineries. I mean. Yeah, and then, but I mean, it's amazing how many people have said, you know what, I like to make beer. I'm now going to make beer for everybody. I mean, and they're all successful. I mean, there's nothing cooler than going to Incendiary, and you're right there with a Cugino Forno, and you can go around, and you've got the bar on the front, you've got 600, you've got all these different things. I mean, you can go there at noon and be wheeled out at 2 a.m.
I think it's so fun to to sit in the bar room at the Ramcat,
right,
to watch a performance, and I love to like sit in that window,
right,
and watch everybody who's walking between the breweries, and going over to Wiseman, and I just love that vibrancy and like seeing people out having fun.
So you still got out of the top 10, so you got to give me some more.
I think I've done way more than 10.
No. Okay, so what's
Okay, give me a
what is the
category.
number one thing that you don't think anybody in Winston has done that they have to do? I mean, you've mentioned a couple different things, and I mean, you could go back to one of those, but like I always you got to drive by and see the Shell station. I mean, I think that's a cool thing.
Yeah, it's just hard to like single things out because there's so many different things. Okay, if you haven't seen a show at the Ramcat, you have to do that.
Right.
Of course, I think a lot of, based on when I'm at Wiseman and other venues, people are doing those things.
Right.
Renolda has a new exhibit opening on, I think, August 24th, The Founder's Vision, that's bringing collections of artwork, for a special exhibition. That's going to be extraordinary. Sika, I was there day before yesterday, and they're getting ready to install their new exhibit.
Right.
We have Bookmarks.
We didn't even talk about the
coming up
Bookmarks Festival.
pretty
Holy
soon.
cow.
I know. When you look at like the festivals, and I've always felt like festivals and events are kind of an expression of like the culture of the community. And like our collection of festivals are so diverse. Fiesta, Pride was so extraordinary. I mean, it really was kind of emotional for me to like see the outpouring of different parts of our community coming together for that event. Bookmarks, International Black Theater Festival, Out at the Movies, is coming up this fall. And so we have River Run and the Gay Film Festival. So, when you look at all of these things, like it's not just one thing, right? It's like so many different things. So I'm gonna instead of picking just one thing, I'm gonna challenge people. Go to our calendar. We just launched a new calendar of events that's in partnership with the Downtown Winston-Salem Partnership, Greater Winston-Salem, Inc., and the Arts Council, and Visit Winston-Salem. We launched with 300 events,
right,
and now it's even more. And find something new, find something you haven't done ever or recently, and get out there and explore.
All right, here's the easy one. How do we get here? How do we get information? You know what? So we can come here to get brochures.
We're at the Brookstown, and we just kind of did a whole renovation for the visitor center, and
got pictures of it, so it'll be on. We used to have
a sofa and some decor,
right?
And now when you walk in, you can see these kind of banners of each of the major attractions, and all of the things to see and do, and pick up a brochure, pick up a trail guide,
right? Pick
up a new visitor guide, and you'll discover something new.
And I find you online at?
Visit Winston-Salem.com.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
I really appreciate it. This is awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Lots of
We'll
fun.
be back next week with more Camel City Chat. Thanks to everyone at Visit Winston-Salem. All the best.